If you want to reset or restart your year and make a long-lasting change and improve quality of your life, there are a few things crucial to understand to make this whole process easier and more understandable. First, you need to understand the science of creating habits. Habits are formed in the process of neuroplasticity, which is an ability of your brain to change the structure of itself and create new connections between neurons called neuropathways. So most of our habits are formed unconsciously when we are passively reacting to our reality. And when you are repeating the same habit over and over again, your brain is making more connections between different neurons, and it strengthens the connection, enhancing the connection, and then it's becoming pretty automatical for us. So to make it more simple and more visual for you to understand, let's say you are in front of the field of the green grass and you are supposed to go from one side to another. So you choose one way and you walk it over and over and over and over again repeatedly every time that you need to go from point A to point B. And over time you can see that the grass is basically gone and you can easily see the pathway, and it's so easy to follow. Our mind, when it's engaging in habits that already knows, basically takes the easiest way to the other side. And knowing that the habits are formed in the process of neuroplasticity, when you want to create a new habit, you are using the self-directed neuroplasticity, which is an active process of trying to implement something new in your reality and trying to make it more automatic. So when you understand how habits are formed, it seems quite simple. Just do it repeatedly and everything is gonna be okay. So when truly it is simple, it is not easy. A lot of us experience procrastination. We know that a habit or a practice is beneficial for us, but especially in the early stages of creating a new behavior, we find ourselves struggling, thinking that we are not motivated enough or thinking that we don't have enough willpower. But it's normal. From a scientific side, it's called a limbic friction. So we have two parts of our brain. Well, we have more parts of our brain, but let's say now I will talk about two parts. We have a limbic system and cerebral cortex. Our limbic system might be called our old brain, which is responsible for our survival and emotional and behavioral responses. And the thing that our limbic system cares the most about is to keep us safe and comfortable. So the friction happens when our cerebral cortex part makes a logical decision that we want to pursue a habit or a practice that it's a little bit uncomfortable at first and it's challenging for us. And basically our cerebral cortex and limbic system are kind of arguing, because the limbic system is dude, what are you doing? Just leave me alone. Let us be comfortable. This was the point of evolution. Why should we just pursue anything? We just need to survive, and now it's so good. So just don't destroy the state because I'm feeling great. And cerebral cortex is come on, we are wasting our time and potential. We are wasting our inspirations and dreams. But limbic system doesn't understand. It's what are the aspirations? I don't get it. So there you have this friction, because the limbic system is pulling us through to a reflective behavior because it's trying to keep us just safe. And cerebral cortex is not strong enough sometimes to just overcome this very strong survival mechanism, and it's completely normal. When you want to create a new habit, your limbic system doesn't understand why your cerebral cortex doesn't want to take this carved out path that you've done already and it's comfortable to follow, and want to start this process again. There is a gap between wanting something and actually doing it, because sometimes our survival is just working in our logical disadvantage. Oliver Buckerman, in his book 4,000 Weeks, gives another perspective on procrastination. He says that in the time that we live in, we have too many things on our to-do list and we have too many responsibilities, and it's not possible to do everything that you're aiming for. So he's emphasizing the importance of prioritizing the things that actually matter to you. And of course, if you will focus on one thing, you will procrastinate the other thing, because you can focus on only one thing at a time. So it's very important to think about what actually matters and prioritize this action, because if you will wait to magically have enough time and enough energy to do that after you will do everything else, well, this opportunity might not come. And in his book, he mentioned about a concept created by Jessica Abel about paying yourself first. It comes from financial words. So when you get your paycheck, it's very important to save some amount of money first. Because if you will start to pay for all of the expenses and just live your life, well, the possibility that something will be left at the end of the month is not that big. But when you will take away this amount of money before and just put it somewhere else and forget about it, you can plan your expenses accordingly to the amount of money that you have left. So it can work the same with managing your time. So you need to pay yourself first, and first thing at the morning or after work, you need to focus on pursuing the creative project or habit that you want to. You need to make sure that you will make time for it before everything else comes and will try to grab the time away from you. And he says that the point is not to eliminate procrastination, but to learn what things can you neglect to focus on the things that matter. Another thing that he says about procrastination is that usually we procrastinate when we feel like we don't have enough talent or skill, or we are worried that something will go wrong, or we will not get approval from others, and we just stop ourselves from pursuing something because we are worried that something will not match our imagination. But the truth is that our imagination will never match the reality, because when we are thinking about the future, we are more tend to think that everything will be just perfect, there will be no obstacles, there will be no challenges, and everything will be just fine, and we'll manage the time, and we'll be these multitasking gods that always feel the best and never feel down. Well, the reality is that it's not gonna happen. So he says if the main reason that you are procrastinating is because you are worried about the outcome, well, it's better to just do it because nothing will be perfect. And thinking about end goal and seeing this gap between where we are and where we want to be, well, it might be overwhelming. So we all procrastinate, and it's completely normal. But Joseph Ferrari in his research distinguished that not everyone is a procrastinator, because sometimes procrastination is a way of life which affects every area: relationships, work, mental health, physical health, and this might be a serious problem. He says that when it comes to chronic procrastination, it has nothing to do with time management. And then he adds, as I tell people, to tell a chronic procrastinator to just do it would be like saying to a clinically depressed person to cheer up. So the reason why I'm mentioning it is because it's adding another layer to everything that we covered so far. Because then we need to understand the power of our mindsets, core beliefs, and identification. Human beings are very complex, and our minds affect our perception of life and ourselves so much, if not entirely. The usual approach to creating a habit is thinking about outcome-related habits or goal-oriented habits. Those are habits and goals that are focused on superficial layer of our existence. So outcome-related habits would be like, I want to have a six-pack, I want to read this amount of books. Immediate goal-based habits are more like routines. I want to exercise 3 times a week. I want to meditate every morning. The thing that we also need to focus on are identity-based habits. So you think, I want to be a fit person. I want to be a person who's able to run and play soccer with my kids, you know? Like you are thinking about who do you want to become and who do you want to be. If your identity will not match the habits, it will be harder to make those habits and practices stick. And personally, I experienced that in my relationship to being physically active and working out. Because when I was younger, I used to be in not very good mental space considering my body, and I really thought that I need to change it in order to be happy and all of that stuff. And every time I was trying to work out, like I didn't like it. And the thing is, like, I forced myself so much sometimes, and I was doing something like for a few weeks, few months, and then I was quitting. And this cycle was repeating over and over again because I couldn't find something that I would actually stick to, and I really struggled with creating the habit of being physically active. And back then, my only reason to exercise was to lose weight or to change my body. So at the end, that wasn't enough of motivation for me to actually create that habit. Over time, everything shifted and I stopped being so obsessed about my body, but at the same time, I started to learn about other benefits of being physically active. Like, it gives you more energy, it makes you feel better mentally, it's reducing stress, and it just makes you feel good. And then I started to implement a plan. Okay, I want to create these habits because those are my reasons. But when the magic happened was when I started to identify with that change. And I used to have a problem with even saying that I'm training, because training was for athletes. What kind of athlete I am? But over time I was like, yeah, I'm doing all of that stuff. Why don't I identify with it? I am physically active, like my habits and my identity should match. And I started to like rewire everything. And now I can officially say I consider myself as a physically active person. And even if I have like the moments that I take breaks from trainings, I am still the same person. So identity-based habits and outcome-related habits needs to work together, because, well, I couldn't just say that, oh, I want to be a physically active person who is healthy and have energy and then do nothing, because, well, that would be not matching together. But at the same time, having only outcome-related habits are not really serving us the bigger purpose, because we don't have a bigger meaning for that. You need a dream and you need a plan. And you might ask yourself, okay, that's a lot of information, but how long it can take to actually change your mindset and change your habits and make a long-lasting change? So the way how I approach it is more like a lifelong journey than a specific period of time. But of course, over time, through a repetition and consistent practice, your habits are getting stronger and they are becoming more automatic. And while for some people doing the whole immersion in new habits, like a challenge for 30 days, 50 days or 100 days may work to change their life, well, for others, including me, it takes one step at a time and just consistently adding slowly another layer, another habit, another small step, and just doing it a little bit slower. But if you need to hear a specific amount of days required to create a habit, there was one study done about creating a habit of taking walks after dinner. And what they found is that in order to create a habit, it might take from 18 days to 254 days. Another concept that I find very helpful as well in resetting and restarting is a concept from a meditation. So I don't know if you ever meditated before, but sometimes when you're trying to meditate, and I know you shouldn't be trying, but sometimes you just like try very hard to meditate and you're like breathe in, breathe out. And then like out of the blue, you find yourself lost in thought and you just forgot that you were meditating. Very useful practice is to simply begin again. Just leave the judgment and just not judge if you were lost in thought about what you were thinking, if you were thinking about the past or about the future or just some abstract thing. Just simply begin again when you find yourself distracted. So I use it outside of meditation as well. When I find myself distracted from work or distracted from my goals or distracted from like anything that is meaningful for me, I just catch myself doing something that is not really serving me. I'm like, okay, I'm distracted, let me just begin again. And without any judgment about myself, I just simply come back to whatever I was supposed to be doing, because like judging yourself will not really help. So we covered a lot and I want to propose to you a few steps that you can follow to ground yourself and make a foundation to create the most fulfilling life for you. And before I tell you them, I want you to remember to not be so hard on yourself and not beat yourself up if you have a setback. So first step is to reflect on how would you like to feel and think about your identity. Maybe not focus too much on creating this perfect vision of yourself and your perfect self and ideal self, because like as we talked before, the concept of things working out perfectly is not really possible. But think about the general idea, who would you want to be, and think about your identification. Then the step 2 is to evaluate your daily practices and habits. What is serving you, what is not serving you, what is helping you to achieve this desired state of mind and being or identity that you want to pursue. The third step is to research what habits and practices will help you to feel this way and will match this identity. And what is very important is to personalize it. Don't do things only because you heard they are good for them. You need a reason. You need your why. As a fourth step, you need to diagnose a friction point. Is it something that you feel too anxious or too tired? Is it that you don't really prioritize? Is it your core belief about yourself? Do you think that you're just this way, that you're procrastinating and that is never gonna change? You need to address what is the biggest friction point and then focus on how can you overcome it. Fifth step is to practice, because the only way to create new pathways is through a repetition. And if you want to build a new pathway in a field of green grass, you need to do it over and over and over again. Sixth step is leaving the judgment and beginning again whenever you will find yourself distracted or having a setback. And those steps can be in the circle, because then if you will find that you have a setback, you need to reflect, evaluate, research, diagnose, practice, and begin again. Wish you all the best in resetting and restarting your year, and if you want to learn more about mindset, you can check my video right here.